What the city is talking about. This is Montreal Now on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
That is James Mennie. He is over at the Montreal Gazette, standing by. Jim, how you doing?
I'm good. Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. You don't happen to be... Yeah.
I'm basically gobsmacked. I'm just hearing this little flip-flop song that you just played for Lori.
Yeah.
That would be so handy with what we can refer to as a sudden change in government policy. You know that. That would be an excellent... I think you should put that aside with a breaking news clip.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Well, I thought... Sorry, we have an English one, though, called Flip, Flop, and Fly, but maybe this one would be better.
Oh, I think it's a little more, chez nous.
Okay. All right, we'll hang on to that then. You're not wearing flip-flops right now, are you?
No, I'm not. I try to avoid them as much as possible.
Jim, the correct answer was yes. Then I could have played it again, but that's okay.
No.
That's fine.
Plus, and the other thing as well is in these parts, and you'll never find a song that goes with this, but in these parts, flip-flops are referred to as les goguns.
Is that what they are in French?
They're in Quebec.
In Quebecois, yeah. Les goguns?
Les goguns.
Les goguns. Oh, you learn something every day. All right.
There you go.
Speaking of learning something, so I wonder if the city is learning anything from having made the very bad decision. And by the way, it's not just the city. I remember Lionel Cameron, the provincial minister, making a big deal about this. That injection site near that elementary school, just up the street actually in St. Henry, is turning out to be a major, major problem.
Well, yeah, life comes at you fast, as Monsieur Carmont and the Legault government is discovering today. It started with La Presse doing a really good job of channeling all the rage from parents whose kids have been exposed to people who, through no fault of their own, perhaps, but they should not be, exposed to kids. Their conduct, whether they're being aggressive with the kids. But for me, the money quote was when they pointed out that when kids have to leave, when they take kids out of the daycare just to walk around, they have to have a police escort. Yeah. Okay. So they figured, that's just terrible. And of course, when this is brought to Monsieur Calmon's or Dr. Calmon's attention once again, he goes, well, this is the city of Montreal because we had said, we're going to do this, and the municipality is responsible for finding the site for the center, and they decided for some reason that this was it. And the city's reply apparently is, well, we'll be more careful, the next time. However, that status quo doesn't seem to be enough because by the end of the day, you have no less a personage than Suzanne Roy, who's the family minister for Quebec, saying we're probably going to end up having to move the daycare because this cannot endure. But this idea that somehow on paper it looked like a very, very good idea that this coexistence could happen. I got to tell you, I understand homelessness is not a problem that's unique to Montreal. And let's face it, 90% of the problem with homelessness is addiction, and that's not unique to Montreal either. But until that problem is faced, until it's not a matter of, we'll work around it, you can't work around it. I've been covering this issue in Montreal for the past 30 years. It's not getting better, it's getting worse. And the idea that somehow, we'll just do this over here, and the left hand won't know what the right hand is doing, but, it all looks good, and we'll have little, buzzwords like, coexistence and cohabitation. It doesn't work. And in the end, if you end up alienating the people who, with their children, decided to settle in Montreal, pay their taxes in Montreal, have their future in Montreal, if that looks like a liability, I got news for you. The last thing the city of Montreal should be doing right now is turning off families to the idea of settling here.
I just don't know. Where's the final decision on this? You're right. The La Presse story brings it to light. We know people in the area have been complaining. I mean, more and more. I heard from someone just the other day, and let's remember where this is. There have been an increase in incidents at the Atwater Market, stores being broken in. And I'm not suggesting one goes with the other necessarily. I'm just saying this seems to be an increase since this opened up. So at what point does the provincial government back down on this, or is it too late?
Well, no, it looks like the provincial government, insofar as it's going to back down, it's going to move the daycare, which I don't know is going to be welcomed by the parents who presumably sent their kids to that daycare because it's around where they live. But once again, here we go. And this is typical of Quebec government planning, City of Montreal planning, whereas, it sounds good on paper, it sounds very virtuous, and the fact of the matter is it was a disaster. And to be fair, because I don't give them very many tips of the hat. The provincial Liberals warned about this before it happened. They warned Carmont. They said this is a very, very big mistake you're making. These centers should be nowhere near a daycare. They should be at least half a kilometer away from a daycare. And he basically said, "Oh, you're just playing NIMBY. Not my backyard. We can't have that. We have a problem to deal with. Blah 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 blah." Well, guess what? In the reality, you have got a headline that basically makes you look like a bunch of out to lunch incompetents, which is exactly what you are. And now these kids will probably end up going God knows where. The story's not over, but what a mess! What an absolute poop show that was completely avoidable. But once again, with the problems in Montreal, with the growing problem of homelessness, this is not the last time you and I are going to be talking about this, Aaron.
Yeah, and that's the sad but true part of the story. All right, Jim, let me move on. You're writing the Legault government handing out pay raises like it doesn't care about re-election. What's this about?
Well, we have the agence, the new agency, Santé Quebec. So we've had lots of ink spilled over how it's going to take over and make things great. Well, it turns out that Christiane Germain, who is basically a hotel executive, is named to be chairperson of the board of directors of Santé Quebec. No problem there. Originally, the job that she was given is perceived as being part-time and paid about $43,000 a year, okay? She's now been given a raise to $173,000 a year, which is about 4 times more. And the explanation from Dubé is, well, it's a really big job. I mean, we have to look at it. And then he cites, and I'm not really sure this was smart on his part, he cites the example of Hydro-Quebec chairperson, Manon Brouillet, who is getting paid $195,000 a year, which is $120,000 more than her predecessor. But because apparently, the job's getting really, really big. I get the impression, Aaron, they don't care. They're just bringing in people. Madame Germain's links to the CAC are a matter of public record. They're bringing in people that look like they're giving them raises, and they don't care because this is the kind of thing, frankly, you can't say, I didn't see it coming. And quite frankly, Dubé's explanation sounds very, very weak. And as the PQ points out, for a bunch of guys who ran up an $11 billion deficit in the last budget, you're not exactly covering yourselves with glory on this one. So let's wait and see how many other pay raises we find out about before Santé Quebec actually goes into operation.
Yeah, and this, by the way, in the midst of still no deal with nurses and now having an argument with doctors as well. So this is all happening at the same time. I don't know. Government doesn't seem to have much of a handle on this. I don't understand.
No, but they're keeping the bureaucrats happy.
Yeah, great. Rank and files, it doesn't matter, but let's keep the bureaucrats happy. Okay. Jim, final story real quick. Is this the Benoit Dubroy story, the report on the state of French language in Quebec?
Yes, it is. Can you imagine that? The Quebec government, which has made a holy war of franchising Quebec, did not expect 100,000 applications to take their French lessons, and in fact, their bureaucracy is completely overcome. And I couldn't help when I heard you talking to Chris Demacos before about Bill 96 provisions in terms of translation of legal judgments, and I cannot help but get the feeling, Aaron, that once again, here's another example of Bill 96 being nothing more than a pastiche of irritants towards Anglophones. The bottom line, though, is you can't help but get the impression that all of this is smoke and mirrors. There's no real plan to francisize Quebec. There's just a real plan to keep people angry, to keep pointing the finger at Anglos and immigrants as a threat, and that, in fact, the only real threat to the reach of the French language are a bunch of posturing bureaucrats and politicians who, at this particular point in time, happen to be part of the Coalition Avenir Québec.
All right, and that's where we're going to leave it. Jim, thank you. Appreciate it.
Adam,